Good afternoon. This is Dr. Moore, and I'm going to be presenting today the case study method. And many of you are taking this, and it's with the first case in the course, which is a team case. And we have Google in China. But just to orient you, the case study really is looking at what is the problem is the first phase, and the second phase is what are key observations. And in this course in international business, we're going to tie all the key observations to the three dimensions of business. Then the third step is what do all these observations mean, so the analysis. And then the fourth and final step is what is the solution, or what are your recommendations to improve. And so this allows us to take a real life scenario in international business and kind of apply what you're learning in the course to see how you can make better decisions or learn from other people's mistakes. So again, this is Google in China. And so the four different parts are, another way of saying them are symptoms, observation, analysis, and prescription. And that's the acronym SOAP. So that's an easy one I have learned back over the years, about 25 years ago when I was in school. And so in France, that was the acronym we used, and it kind of stuck. As you see here, that's Google China in Chinese, and Baidu is the big rival to Google in China. Now specifically what I'm asking you to do is in these four steps is to take a look at what are the key problems. So define where are the essential root problems that you find there. I would probably put 2 to 4 maximum key problems. And then in the observation, I try to help you out with some questions there. What is the management dimension of the two companies? And as you look in this case, you should take the Chinese government as one company or organization, and Google, which is an American company. And so those are the two entities that you're comparing in the management dimension, in the Hofstede dimension, and in the virtue dimension. So you need to make observations. And in the third section, you have the analysis. So based on your observations, so the person, if you're splitting up the work, you really need the observations before you do the analysis. So based on those observations, what are the three, what's the impact of some of these things? So are there cultural impacts that are impacting the partnership? Are there ethical dimensions that are affecting the partnership? And then finally, you need to state in the analysis, how is the business partnership going? And you'll see in the matrix, there's a section war, conflict, and unity, and explain why. And then finally, you want to give 3 things that would be recommendations on your part to improve the relationship based on the observations that you've made about culture, about ethics. And so if one partner were to improve, what should they do in this partnership? The grading is really a 50-point case assessment. 5 points are for the spelling and grammar. 5 points are for the format. Now you as a team can choose to do a paper or a PowerPoint. If you're doing a PowerPoint, you need to use the 7x7 rule. So you need to put no more than 7 lines in your PowerPoint and put pictures in, find different charts. You can also, here you can also put notes in the notes part of the presentation. So in a PowerPoint, you can do what I'm doing right now is narrate the PowerPoint. So somebody's going to have to talk in the PowerPoint. Or if you don't want to do a narration, what you could do is type your notes in the bottom slide. It's the notes section of each of the slides. So it would be like if you presented it. And then finally, the analysis, which is the biggest part. is 40 points, so there's 10 points for each of the sections that we just talked about. So the 3 dimensions, real quick, is the ethics, culture, and management. And there's a YouTube up there where I present that. It's about 10 minutes or 12 minutes if I'm not mistaken. And it goes through and explains those. But this example, just put it up for you. Here's Google, U.S. culture, and the government of China. And you have to make observations. Where do you think they are based on that model? Are they survival or virtuous? And then you need to go find Gert Hofstede's information. And Gert Hofstede does charts. You can do a chart on their website. And down here, there's these charts that it creates if you put China versus USA, and it gives you a chart. So these would show you kind of the differences between Google and the Chinese government. Now you have to figure out which is which of the colors, but for example, how you would read this is power distance here for blue is real high, and it's lower for yellow. Individualism is really low for blue, but very high for yellow. And so what does that mean when there's such a big gap between these? And so there's a huge gap here, there's a huge gap here, and so those are important things from a cultural perspective. And again, remember, culture is not something right or wrong. But for example, if you're from France and your culture is basically taking a look at, if we look at time, culture in a French setting, when you say I'll be there at 5 o'clock, it doesn't mean I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock. When Dr. Spencer and I took students to Paris last month, we had a meeting with a business there, and we came right on time at 9 o'clock. And they weren't ready for us, because when they said 9 o'clock, what they meant was 9:30. And so that's part of a cultural clash. It's not a right or wrong. We do cultural clashes or cultural norms here when we're driving. When we look typically, driving in South Carolina has been interesting, because I've had to teach my children here how to drive in South Carolina. It's a little bit different than in Europe. One thing is when you see a yellow light, in other places you slam on your brake, but here everybody knows that a yellow light doesn't mean slam on your brake, it means speed up and get through the light. And so that's just an example in driving, how for us, our culture, that's just what we think is right. Now, that's just how South Carolinians drive. And actually, if you stop sharply at a yellow, you'll probably have somebody run into the back of you. And so anyhow, but that's culture. There's a couple links here where you can look at different ways of thinking from China, Guanxi, what that is, and kind of Chinese perspective and communication. And then finally you have the third is the management, and it's divided in 4 quadrants. Adaptation, innovation, rational analysis, and very much kind of production oriented. Bureaucratic, internal routines, so control is a big deal on this quadrant. And then finally here, involvement in commitment, cohesion, so people working together. You kind of have to decide, where's Google? Is Google everybody gets along? Is Google a control kind of organization? Is it a production type of organization, or is it a very creative organization? And also you need to figure out where, in which of these quadrants would the Chinese government be. So this is the same thing, kind of simplified. And so is there any differences where you place the Chinese government and Google, and are there differences in the management practices? That's also going to have an impact on how people work together. So that's a quick overview of your case study, and this is an actual case study, and it really happened. And as you look at the history, Google lost millions of dollars because they didn't understand these dynamics. So this is very relevant to international business. So have fun, and give me your prescriptions. I'll take a look at them. God bless you. See